Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tuuvas, and I'm here today to bring you guys another Besiege tutorial video. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make this. This is a twin-engine aircraft that I've called Shattered Skies, based on the Ace Combat game Shattered Skies, or Shattering Skies. I can't remember what I call this. What do I call this? Open Shattering Skies. So if you want to download this from the workshop, go ahead and search for Shattering Skies, and you should find it just fine in case you didn't want to follow the tutorial. But like I said, this is a twin-engine aircraft that is technically a VTOL aircraft, a vertical takeoff and landing, so VTOL. However, the L part is not really a thing because what it actually does, because since it's VTOL stands for vertical takeoff and landing, the L part, this thing doesn't really land. So I think I'm actually going to coin the term VTOC, VTOC, for vertical takeoff and crashing, because if you try to land this thing, what you'll actually be doing is litho braking, which is otherwise known as crashing. Litho braking? Litho? I don't know what the actual, how it's actually pronounced, but yeah. So that's not exactly a thing to do in this. So once you get it off in the air, that's it. You are going to fulfill its purpose, do its job, and take out the target and just throw it away. So it's almost like a drone aircraft in a way that can't be reused. So anyways, like I said, this is a twin-engine aircraft, and it is equipped with a total of 3 frag cannons that are facing downward. And technically it's downward because it's vertically taking off. And just keep in mind, even though these 2 frag cannons are aimed straight at these 2 propeller pieces used for lift, just keep in mind, even though that's the case, I know it's a little bit of a bug that I'm taking advantage of, but the particles for frag cannons don't actually appear until probably a whole block after where the frag cannons are placed. So if I were to fire one of these frag cannons, you can tell that even though it caused some friction against the propeller, it doesn't actually blow it off. Now, I personally hope they don't change this, but it is technically a bug, so I will have to redesign the aircraft if they do. But man, this made it so compact and neat and nice. Because of it, I was originally left with just this one frag cannon down here. And because I was able to sneak these 2 in, I just essentially tripled its firepower. So it'll suck the day that they get rid of that, but till that day, I'm going to gift you guys with Shattering Skies. So with that being said, let's go ahead and continue on with the demonstration. So like I said, this is a very simple aircraft because, one, it vertically takes off, you don't have to worry about landing it, and it only has 2 axes of maneuverability. It only has a roll axis, and it only has a pitch axis, so it can only pitch up and down, and it can only roll left and right. There is no yaw. And on top of that, there's no actual way to, I mean, you can set it up, but there's no actual way to control the amount of thrust being given to this. So it just makes the overall handling of the vehicle that much more simple and less things to worry about. So just fly it the way it is. So anyways, guys, with that being said, let me show you guys how to make Shattering Skies. Okay guys, so to start off, let's go ahead and move our core block up just a tiny little bit so that we have enough ground clearance for building this thing. And go to our small wooden blocks and place one right underneath the core block. Then go ahead and take the double length version and place that on each side of that small wooden block. And on each end of those, place a ballast. Just like that. And go ahead and delete each one of these. And then once you're left with just 2 ballast and a core block, go ahead and take your swivel joint and place one on top of the core block and underneath each ballast, so you're left with that. And then go to your motor wheel and place a total of 8, so 4 on each side, or on each side of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, underneath these swivel joints, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so you're left with that. And with your motor wheel still selected, go ahead and place 2 more on the inside of this ballast, and 2 more on the inside of this ballast, and then 3 underneath this core block. Now, just to explain it, these motor wheels here on the left and right are what are used for propelling the aircraft forward. These motor wheels on each of the ballasts right here are what are used to pitch the aircraft up and down, and these motor wheels are used for rolling the aircraft left and right. So that's just a quick explanation as to why these motor wheels are here. So to continue, take your unpowered wheel and place this on the end of this motor wheel, and then take a swivel joint and place this on the end of that. And then go ahead and take a spinning block and cap these ends off of the propulsion and motor wheels. So you're left with that, and you kind of have this interesting like top half of a robot body. You've got like the 2 arms, you got the main torso, So it's actually kind of interesting. I'm no good with robots. I've tried, and I suck. I really do suck with robots. I have no idea how they work. So we'll continue on with this flying machine tutorial. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a ballast and place this on the back and front of this swivel joint. And oh my, if this was a robot, this right here would be a very interesting piece. Wow, that's going to distract me for the rest of the tutorial. Anyways, so, oh my goodness. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on and take our small aerodynamic... I can't even talk now. Let's go ahead and take our small aerodynamic propellers and place them on each side of this spinning block. Now, you do not want to place it so it's vertical. You want to place it so it's horizontal. So press R to rotate it and place this on each side of the spinning block. That is really distracting. Again, do it on the other side. And then go ahead and take your swivel joint and place that on each end of these spinning blocks, so you're left with that. And then one last piece as far as the major part of the body construction of this aircraft. Go ahead and take your wing panel and place this on the end of this ballast, or underneath this ballast. Now, like with the propellers, you want to make sure to rotate this so it's vertical. So it shouldn't look like this, it should look instead like this. So go ahead and place it like that. This way, when these propellers are spinning, they don't actually collide with this guy. So, now that we got pretty much the main body of the aircraft in place, let's go ahead and actually start working on the bracing setup so that this aircraft holds together and doesn't fall apart like that. Because that is kind of important for an aircraft. Okay, so again, to start with the brace work, go ahead and select your brace and start off by... Now, hold on, before I continue, I need to emphasize it is very, very important that you follow my exact steps. The way I the way I place these braces is in such a way that it will perfectly balance this aircraft while it's flying, because if you don't balance it perfectly, it will tend to veer off left, right, up, or down while it's flying through the air. So to prevent that, please follow my exact steps, otherwise the aircraft will be imbalanced. So, now that I've stressed that enough, let's go ahead and take our brace and start from the side of this swivel joint to connect that to the top of this ballast. Do the same on the other side, just like that. Then go from the side of this core block and connect that to the outside of this ballast. Do the same on the other side. Then once more, start from the side of this core block and connect this all the way down to this outside of this swivel joint. And again, do the same on this side. So now you're left with this kind of interesting arrow shape of the braces. Then once you've got that, go ahead and take the back of this swivel joint, connect that to the top of this ballast, and do the same on this side. And then we are going to go from the top of this rear swivel joint, so not actually the top, the back of this swivel joint, to connect that to the side of this ballast. Do the same on this side. Then on the other side of the aircraft, do the same over here. Connect it to the side of this ballast. And then on the inside of this swivel joint, connect that to the side of the wing panel. Just like so. And a quick inspection, and we are missing 2 more braces, I believe. And that is the bottom of this ballast should be connected to the bottom of this swivel joint. So do the same on this side. So it's important to not accidentally, actually it's pretty hard to accidentally do this. So again, start from the bottom of this ballast and connect that to the bottom of this swivel joint. So you're left with this. And now the main brace work for the actually holding the aircraft together is now complete. So if you hit play, nothing will fall apart. Now if you notice, I'm hitting up and down arrow, and that's controlling all of the motor wheels. So next up, if you haven't guessed already, is key mapping. We're going to map the keys for each one of these motor blocks, and as well as adjusting the weight for these ballasts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to that section. Okay, so to start key mapping these different blocks, go ahead and select your key mapper tool and parameter tuning, and start off by selecting your motor wheels used for propulsion. So on each of these motor wheels, go ahead and set these to automatic and max speed, and go ahead and copy that, or hit Control C, and paste it onto each and every single one of these vertical motor wheels, so on both sides of the aircraft. So just like that. Then go ahead and do something similar for the spinning blocks, and just set those to max speed. And then what you'll notice is that, let's go ahead and slow this down, because these are set up in such a way that they are rotating in the same direction, you'll notice that because of the way that these propellers are orientated, this one is actually generating reverse thrust, while this one is generating forward, actually no, they're both generating reverse thrust, so that is actually something we don't want. So to correct that, what we actually need to do is we need to do the exact following steps. So highlight each one of these propellers and press F to flip them so that they are now generating forward momentum instead of reverse momentum. And on these ones, instead of flipping these propellers, instead what we want to do is we want to flip these motor wheels. So highlight each one of these motor wheels on the right side only and flip them. So flip these motor wheels here and also this spinning block. So the motors here and the spinning block are flipped, and then only the propellers on this left side are flipped. So that when you hit play, we'll see that these are actually spinning in opposite direction to counteract each other's rotating momentum, so we can prevent the torque effect on this aircraft. If we don't do this, the aircraft will want to spin, or will want to roll left or right, depending on which direction both engines are rotating. So that's how we counteract them. Now, if you notice, even though these things are set to max speed, we're not actually generating any lift on this aircraft. We're generating some, that's why it's slowly coming down to a halt, but it's ultimately not taking off. So to allow it to take off, we need to take our brace and brace up each side of these swivel joints with the opposite side. So take your brace and place it here and then connect it to the opposite side so you kind of form this cross shape on each one of these points. So you have a total of 2 on this swivel joint, and then again, connect the opposite ends to each other, just like that. And what this does, it kind of adds weight and drag to the swivel joint, and what that allows the momentum of these motor wheels to carry on to the propellers, and allow the propellers to spin even faster. So if you hit play, we can actually see that the aircraft now takes off. So just like that, we've created 2 engines for propelling the aircraft. So let's go ahead and move on to the maneuvering motor wheels so we can actually control this aircraft. And take our brace and connect the ends of these motor wheels to each other, so just like this. And then go ahead and actually connect this this unpowered wheel to the end of this motor wheel. Now this is going to be a little bit of complicated parts, so to make this a little easier, go ahead and zoom in just a bit more so you just barely see the end of that motor wheel. And with this this brace still placed on the end of this unpowered wheel, try and connect it to the end of this motor wheel. So you'll see it eventually pop up just like that, so you have this gap filled in. Just let go of the click button so you place the brace. And when you have that placed, what you should notice is that when you press the up arrow, because we haven't assigned the key mapping tool yet, the motor wheel and unpowered wheel will spin with each other at equal speeds. So that's how you know you placed it correctly. So now that you have that in place, go ahead and go back to your key mapper and select your motor wheels here used for pitch and set these to, I believe it is, let's see, these are rotating forward, so we need to set this to number 5 on the keypad, or what you would consider the down arrow, then this to number 8 on the keypad, or what you would consider the up arrow, and go ahead and set this to max speed and copy that and paste it onto each one of these motor wheels. And to test this out, let's go ahead and hit play and pitch up. So now it's pitching up, and then pitch down, and now we see that it's pitching down. So perfect. We've set these correctly. So if you guys don't have a number pad, alternatively, you could set forward to the down arrow, and then and reverse to the up arrow. And do that for each one. So just like that. So when you press the up arrow, it'll pitch down. When you press the back arrow, it'll pitch up. Now, we haven't set these motor wheels yet, which is why it was kind of spinning as well. So to do that, let's go ahead and select each motor wheel. I'm going to set this back to my preferred setting, so 5 and 8 on the number pad. Just like that. And then go to each one of these center motor wheels and set, let's see, which direction is this rotating? This is rotating clockwise, so we want to set this to number 4 and number 6 on the number pad. So 4 for forwards and 6 for reverse, and set that to max speed. And set this to max speed, and go ahead and paste this. However, we want to actually set this to 0 speed, because if we were to leave this with a wheel speed setting, the aircraft would roll like uncontrollably fast. So if we hit right and left, it's actually pretty controllable at the moment. However, if we were to bump this up to max speed, I mean, you have the option for doing this if you want like extreme maneuvering, but if you do, just be prepared. This sucker is going to spin out like crazy. I mean, this, I don't know. For you guys, it could be easier for you to control, but for me, this is spinning way too fast for my taste. So basically, this motor wheel for me is mostly here for spacing. It's to properly balance the aircraft in terms of overall length, but you also have the option of allowing this to move left and right as well. But for me, I like to have it off because it spins far too quickly otherwise. So this is a lot more controllable to me. So, but again, if you don't have a number pad and want to use this using the arrow keys, you can actually set this to left, to left and right. And copy that and paste it to each one of these, so left and right. So now, if we were to control it with the up arrow, oh, that's right, because I didn't set, if you control it with the left arrow, it'll roll left, control with the right arrow, it'll roll right. So that's how you set that in case you don't have a number pad. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and paste this, or add the controls that I like, and that's 4 and 6 on the number pad, and paste it. And reduce this down to 0, and make sure we can control this properly, so pitch down, up, and then left, right. Alright, and now we have the controls set. So now let's go ahead and move on to the section where we actually put on the propellers to generate lift. Okay, so to generate lift, go ahead and select your small aerodynamic propellers, and place one on each side of this swivel joint. Now keep in mind, you do not want it facing this direction. If it looks like this, go ahead and hit R, and make sure it's facing forward, or facing up and down like that, and place it on each side. Now, if they look like this, they are facing opposite directions, and what that means when you hit play, it will want to rotate on its own. You want to prevent that, so to do that, go ahead and select this right side and hit F, so that is facing upward like that, so when you hit play, it no longer rotates, and in fact, it pulls the nose up. So to make sure the nose no longer pulls up, we are going to add propellers to the back side. So take your small aerodynamic propellers and place them in the same orientation, but on the insides of these swivel joints, and make sure they are actually pointed upward like that, because if we don't, you'll run into the same problem, where it wants to rotate. Just like that, and on top of that, it still wants to pitch up. So make sure this is pointed in the same direction as those. So these are facing back or facing upward. These are also facing upwards. So when you hit play, it actually does not pitch up because these aerodynamic propellers are counteracting these ones. So you're actually flying level. Now keep in mind, even though those are actually now counteracting each other, it is still not perfectly balanced and it doesn't have as much lift as it needs to stay afloat. So we're going to actually add a total of four more small aerodynamic propellers, and these will be on each side of these ballasts. So go ahead and place one here, one here, one here, and here. Now again, these are rotated, or these are flipped in opposite directions, so make sure you go to each one on the right side and flip them with the F key. So they are faced upward like that, because again, if you don't, you'll run into this problem where it starts rotating. So to prevent that, again, flip these small aerodynamic propellers. So once you do, you're left with this. Now you technically have a fully controllable aircraft. Now it is a little imbalanced only because it's not weaponized yet, but it is more or less controllable. I mean, it's actually a really good flying machine at this rate. So, but what fun is a flying machine if it can't shoot things? So let's go ahead and move on to the next section, and that is to weaponize this machine. Okay, so to weaponize this, go and, well, select your weapon section and select your shrapnel cannon and take those and place it on each side of this inside swivel joint. Now, make sure it is facing this direction, so it's facing towards what would be the bottom of the aircraft. And place this on both the right and left sides. Now, when you place it on this side, it's probably going to be facing the wrong direction, so make sure you rotate it so it's facing downward, just like that. Then place one more on the bottom of this ballast, and again, make sure it's facing the correct direction. So to test this, let's go ahead and slow down time just a bit, then hit play and press C, and what you should see after you press C is all the shrapnel coming out the bottom. And that is how you know that these are placed in the correct direction. So now that we know that, set speed to normal, and let's go ahead and key map these things so we can fire these off individually. What I like to do is I like to set these to 1, 2, and 3 on the keypad. So this will be number 1, this will be number 2, and this one will be number 3. Now you can set this to anything you want, so if you want to set it to 1, 2, and 3 on the regular keyboard, you can. But this allows me to fire these off individually, and those are the 1, 2, and 3 firing. Now, we are not quite done yet with the weapons, because what flying machine is complete without metal spikes facing forward? So let's go ahead and take our awesome metal spikes and place these on the top of each ballast, so you now have these pointy bits sticking out the front. And that is more or less all the weapons of Shattering Skies. So now that you have that in place, you actually have a complete flying machine, and you can fly this however you want. I mean, you can do loops, you can do not barrel rolls. Oh, and it got caught by gravity. Not barrel rolls, but you can do aileron rolls, so just like that. But if you combine both pitch and roll at the same time, you can kind of do a barrel roll. It just goes too quickly. But yeah, and there's actually one last step to try and lighten the load of the overall aircraft, and that is to use the key mapper and go to each ballast and set these to 0.20 mass. This will lighten the overall weight of the aircraft and make it, I think, just a bit faster, but that's up to you if you want to do that. But I personally like to do it just because I like to make sure any kind of flying machine has as little weight on it as you can make it. And yeah, guys, that is pretty much the entire tutorial for Shattering Skies. So yeah, so now you have a nice little flying machine. So let's go ahead and play around with this guy and see if we can take out that windmill over there without crashing like that. So let's actually try this one more time. And 2. Oh, I killed the chicken though. Look at that precision. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and try to take out this other windmill over here. Come on. Yeah! No, I crashed! And the VTOC aircraft crashes. Go figure. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much the tutorial, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and leave a like. If you really liked it and would like to see more of this kind of stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. On the top left is a link to my tutorial playlist of Besiege, where I have a bunch of other tutorials for you guys to check out. So if you haven't already, go ahead and give those a look and let me know what you guys think. And on the bottom left is going to be a link to my Besiege gameplay series, where I've done a few videos of me playing the game Besiege, you know, trying out some new designs and things like that. So again, check those out, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, so until next time, guys, have a nice day.